Hello Steve, my name's Linda. I'd like you to assume that my instructor can't make the lesson today. I would like you to teach me the emergency stop and use of mirrors. You can assume that I am familiar with the controls of the vehicle. I would like you to watch my driving and correct any faults that you see within my drive. If you'd like to take a few moments to think about that now and begin when you are ready.
Hello there, Linda. My name's Steve.
Hello.
Pleased to meet you. Now, your usual instructor can't be with you today, as you know he's on holiday, but he has left a note in the office for me saying that today he would like me to have a look at the emergency stop with you and also do a little bit of polishing up on the use of your mirrors.
Okay.
Okay. Now, before we get started and have a little chat, I'd like to get your mirrors set up for today. So, can you sit normally in your seat for me? Fantastic. I'd like you to just first of all adjust your interior mirror for me. Now, tell me as you're adjusting that, what are you looking for?
I need to see the entire back windscreen in that mirror.
You do. Fantastic. And you may also see a little bit of the side of your face.
That's correct.
Okay, fantastic. Now, your interior mirror's all set. What about your door mirrors? What do you need to see in those?
In my left mirror, I need to see a bit of the side of the car and down the pavement.
Excellent. Do you want to adjust that for me? Just turn the key one notch in the ignition. Well done.
There.
Okay. Excellent. Good. And the right one. Do you want to adjust that as well for me? What are you looking for there?
Again, I need to see a bit of the side of the car and all the way down the road to the right of me.
Good. So they're all set? You happy with those?
I think so, yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Just turn the ignition off for me. Lovely. Right. Okay. Let's have a look at a couple of pictures here. Now, in your last driving lesson, what were you doing, Linda?
I was dealing with crossroads.
Ah, right. Excellent. I'm glad about that. When you were approaching a crossroads, there was a routine that you used. Can you tell me what that routine is?
That would be MSM, Mirror Signal Manoeuvre.
Excellent stuff. And we use that routine as an essential part of our driving every time we're going to carry out a manoeuvre. Now, if we were driving down the road and we were going to turn left, which mirrors would you be checking?
My interior mirror and left door mirror.
Good, well done. Why would you need to check your interior mirror first?
To see what's behind me, I mean.
Lovely. What about the left mirror? What are you looking for in there?
There could be cyclists there.
They could. Absolutely. Yeah, well done. Now, what about if you were turning right?
Then my right door mirror.
Anything first?
My interior mirror.
Excellent.
Then right
And
door
then your
mirror.
right door mirror. Okay, excellent stuff. Well done. Can you think of any other examples of when you'd need to check your mirrors?
Before I slow down.
Before you slow down, right. Why do you need to look in your mirrors before you slow down?
There could be somebody close behind.
Good, so which mirror would you be checking?
My interior.
Lovely. You'd also check your mirrors if you were going to build your speed up or accelerate.
Right.
Why do you think you need to know what's behind you if you're going to accelerate?
I suppose someone could be overtaking me.
That's right, yeah. So you need to know what's behind you, make sure it's safe. You don't want to end up with a car stuck at the side of you as you're trying to accelerate. Fantastic stuff. You'd also need to have a good look in your mirrors if, for example, you were going to change lanes. Yeah.
Okay.
What about if you were going to open your car door?
Right, yes, I do need to check them then.
You do, absolutely. Now, if you're going to open your car door, I'd also recommend that you look into your blind spot.
Right.
Yeah, over your right shoulder, just so you can make sure there's nobody whizzing past on a bike or anything like that.
Okay.
Now, thinking about your mirrors, I don't know if your last instructor mentioned this, but there are two different types of glass. Your interior mirror has a different type of glass to your door mirrors.
Oh, right, okay.
Did he mention that to you?
He might have done, but I forgot.
Okay, no problem. Now, the interior mirror is flat glass.
Okay.
So it's just like your bathroom mirror at home, for example. Okay? So what you see is a true picture of what's really there.
Okay.
Okay? Now, the door mirrors, they're what we call convexed glass. Okay, imagine the back of a spoon, how it's slightly bent, slightly curved, and therefore it makes things look further away.
Right, okay.
Now, they're designed like that to help to reduce your blind spots.
Okay.
But as a result of that, because things look slightly smaller, slightly further away, you don't want to rely on those mirrors to judge speed or distance.
Okay.
If you just look now into your interior mirror, can you see the red car behind us?
Yes.
Okay, and now if you look into your left door mirror, you should be able to see the same car behind us. Does it look any different?
Oh, it looks a lot smaller.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah? So I just want you to bear that in mind when you're driving. It does make things look a little bit further away.
Okay.
Now, the other thing I'd like to draw your attention to is this little thing here on the bottom of your interior mirror. Do you know what that's for?
Oh no, I've not seen that before.
Okay, that's what we call an anti-dazzle device.
Right.
Now imagine if you're driving at night. Have you ever had any lessons in the dark?
Not yet, no.
Okay, well I'm sure we will at some point before you test. If you're driving at night, sometimes the vehicle behind, when it's got its headlights on, it can glare in your mirror.
Right,
And it can make it very difficult to concentrate when you're driving. Now the anti-dazzle device, if I can show you on my picture here, when you flick the button, it will reduce the glare by darkening the glass slightly.
Right, that's good.
Just like to have a look in your mirror now and just turn that control on the bottom of the mirror. Can you see things look a lot darker?
Oh yes, it's tilted the mirror.
It has tilted the mirror slightly and therefore it will reduce the glare. It's important that once whatever it is behind you is glaring you has gone, you do turn that back for normal driving.
Okay.
Otherwise you're not going to have such good view. Do you want to just flick that back for me now?
There.
Great stuff. Okay. So that's a little bit of a recap on your mirrors. Now we're going to be going for a drive shortly to look at the emergency stop. On the way there, I'm going to have a little chat to you about your mirrors, just to make sure that everything's okay and that we're checking them as and when we need to be.
Right.
Okay? Do you have any questions about your mirror?
No, I don't think so.
Okay then, so if you're ready, we'll carry out the rest of our cockpit drill and then we'll go for a drive.
Okay.
Okay, before you put your seatbelt on, you've just moved your seat. Now I know we adjusted our mirrors earlier, but let's just double check them and make sure they're all okay because you have moved in your seat now.
There, that's better.
Is that okay?
Yes.
What about your door mirrors?
They're still okay.
You're happy with those?
I am, yes.
Okay, now you can put your seatbelt on. Okay, I'll just put my seatbelt on. And if you'd like to start up the engine, well done. Okay, Linda, so just before we move off, what do you need to check?
Oh, I need to check my mirrors.
Okay, is there anything else?
Oh, I need to check my blind spots as well.
That's right, yeah, well done. Why is it important that you check over both of your shoulders, particularly that right one, just before you move off?
There may be something there that I might affect.
Like?
Cyclists.
Excellent, well done. Okay then, so, let's get ready. Don't forget, Linda, to check over your left shoulder as well. That's good, all around the car.
We'll be following
Excellent.
the road to the right.
And we're just going to follow the road around to the right for me. Okay, check your middle mirror and your right mirror, Linda, to move out past the grey car. Well done, that's good. And then to come back in, your middle mirror and your left mirror. Well done, lovely. Looking down the road ahead, we've got a crossroads, so have a look in that interior mirror. Well done. It's important that we know what's behind us before we slow down to go through the crossroads.
Right, okay.
Why do you think we need to know what's behind us before we slow down, Linda?
In case they're very close.
That's right, yeah, exactly. I'll talk more about that in a moment. We've got a car parked up on the left here, so which mirrors are you going to check before you move past?
The interior and my right door.
Good, well done, lovely. And to come back in again?
My interior and left door.
Well done. Can you see him in the left mirror?
I can, yes.
Good, it's
Turning
important that you
right
can
to
make
the
sure
left
you
of the
see
road.
that car before you come back in. We're turning right here for me, Linda. Well done. Good. Well, good use of your mirrors. Why is it important to check that right one before we move over?
In case somebody's overtaking me.
Lovely. Well done. Excellent. Good stuff. We've got a van parked on the left now, so which mirrors will you be checking?
Interior and right door.
Good stuff. Well done. And to come back in again?
Interior and left.
Good. If you look in your interior mirror now, can you see the red car?
I can, yes.
What's he doing at the moment?
Just following.
Right, okay. What about his indicator?
Oh, he's signalling to turn right.
He is, that's right. Well done. We're going to follow the road ahead at this roundabout. Okay, Linda, if you'd like to just turn your engine off for me. Great stuff. Now, before we move on to talk about the emergency stop, do you have any questions about the mirrors?
No, I don't.
Okay, so let's just recap then. So when's it important that you check your mirrors?
Before I slow down.
Before you slow down, yeah? Any other times?
Before I signal.
Signalling, good, yeah. So whenever you're going to change speed or change direction, it's important to make effective use of your mirrors, isn't it, as part of that MSM routine?
Yes.
Okay, great stuff. Let's have a little chat to you now about the emergency stop. Okay? Now, just look at my diagram here for a second. The emergency stop is an exercise that we need to learn how to do in case we have to stop the car promptly, under full control, as the name suggests, in an emergency. Okay?
Right, okay.
For example, if a child was to step out in front of the car. Okay? Now, as a good driver, you should always be looking well down the road ahead and anticipating what may happen. So the need for an emergency stop, hopefully, is something that will very rarely happen when you're driving. But
Right,
nevertheless,
okay.
we still always need to be prepared just in case. Now, normally when you're driving, you're checking your interior mirror on a regular basis, aren't you?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, earlier on today you were checking it nice and frequently as we were driving around. That's very, very important, because unlike a normal situation where you would check your mirror before you slow down, if it was an emergency, you wouldn't have time to do that.
Right, okay.
So by checking your mirrors regularly as you're driving around, you've always got a picture in your mind of what's going on behind you, so if you do have to stop the car promptly, you always know what's going on anyway.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so looking at this diagram again, I just want you to imagine now that we're the red car, and we're driving along the road, and the child there has stepped out in front of the car.
Right,
Okay, the very first thing that you need to do is to start to brake.
okay.
So we're not going to look in the mirrors, we're going to go straight for the brake. Now I don't want you to slam the brake, what I want you to do is brake firmly but progressively.
Right, okay.
So imagine that you're driving down the road and say a traffic light changed in front of you and you were fairly close. That kind of braking, firm braking, progressive braking. Okay?
Right.
The next thing I want you to do is take a firm grip of the steering wheel. Okay?
Okay.
So we'll call that brace. Alright, so we're going to brake and we're going to brace.
Right,
Okay, the reason that we need to take a firm grip of the steering wheel, well, there's two main reasons. First of all, to retain full control of the vehicle, okay, so that we can make sure we steer the car accurately in a straight line. And secondly, if we do brake, we may find ourselves just thrown forward slightly in our seat. So by having a good firm grip of the steering wheel, it'll keep us nice and safe.
okay.
Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to press the clutch pedal firmly to the floor just before we come to a stop.
Right.
Why is it important, do you think, that we press the clutch pedal before we stop?
The engine will stall otherwise.
That's right, absolutely, yeah. So we need to keep full control of the vehicle, so we need to make sure the engine remains running so that we're ready to move off afterwards.
Okay.
So if you remember BBC,
Yep.
it's brake, brace and clutch.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're going to keep our foot firmly on the brake until the car comes to a complete stop, and then we're going to apply the handbrake to secure the car.
Right.
All right. Now at this stage, you may just need to take a couple of moments just to gather your thoughts, because it's all going to happen quite quickly. And if a real life emergency had happened, it probably would take you a few seconds just to get your breath back again. And when you're ready, we're going to prepare the car, we're going to pop it into first gear, we're going to set the gas and find the biting point, and then just before we move off, we need to take effective all-round observations. So we're going to do our 6-point safety check, just like you would normally to move off from the side of the road.
Right, okay.
Because the car is going to be positioned, rather than nicely pulled up, it's going to be positioned somewhere in the middle of the road. So it's very important that you check your left-hand shoulder into your blind spot, all around the car, and your right-hand shoulder into your blind spot before you actually move off.
Okay.
And if it's safe, we'll then proceed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, when we're driving down the road, I'm going to give you a signal when I want you to stop. And the signal that I'll give you will be like this. Stop. Okay? Before I ask you to stop, I will have a look over my shoulder just to make sure it's safe and that there's nothing coming. But I only want you to respond when I give you the signal.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Great stuff. Now I just want to talk to you a little bit about what can affect our braking. Now I don't know if you've been studying for your theory test, but if you have, you'll probably be aware that the road conditions can affect the way the vehicle handles if we have to brake suddenly.
Oh, right.
Okay. For example, if the roads are wet, it can take us twice as long as normal to actually bring the car under full control. Okay.
Right.
So if you were driving around normally, forgetting the emergency for a moment, if you were just driving around and the roads were wet, how do you think that would affect the way that we would have to drive?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'd drive a little bit slower perhaps, wouldn't we? A little bit more
Right.
cautiously, just bearing in mind that if we did have to stop, it would take twice as long.
Right, okay.
What about if the roads are icy? Have you got any idea how that might affect the car?
Will that be even more difficult to stop?
It would. In actual fact, it can take up to 10 times the normal stopping distance to bring the car under full
Right.
control. Other factors also can affect the way the vehicle handles when we brake suddenly. For example, if we look at these diagrams here, if we were going down a hill, obviously gravity, natural force is going to be pulling us down, so we'd need to allow a little bit of extra stopping time. Also, sometimes they resurface the roads, and you see this sign here to say loose chippings. If the road surface is loose, then that could cause the car to handle differently when we
Right,
brake.
okay.
Okay. Now this vehicle is fitted with ABS. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, it's an anti-lock braking system.
Well done, excellent, yeah. And the ABS, anti-lock brake system, is designed to help to prevent the wheels from locking if you brake suddenly. Okay. In old cars, when you used to brake very, very firmly, that could cause the wheels to lock, which would cause the vehicle to skid down the road. Okay. But this car, don't worry, this car's fitted with something called ABS, which is designed to help to prevent that from happening.
Right, okay.
So when we do brake, it's important that you brake firmly, but you keep the pressure equally on the brake so that the ABS, if it is needed, will kick in and will help to prevent us from skidding.
Okay.
Now there are two types of skidding. First of all, there is forward skidding, and that's when the wheels lock and cause the car to start to slide down the road. Okay.
Right.
If that should happen, you'll know about it because you'll feel that the car control feel a bit differently.
Okay.
Okay. Because of the ABS in this car, keep your foot firmly on the brake, and that will help to bring us under control. Okay. The other type of skidding is rear end skidding. Okay, when the back end of the car can turn. Now that's usually induced by steering at the same time as braking. Okay?
Right, okay.
But if you do feel the back end of the car start to swing one way, what we need to do is we need to bring it back under control. So the way that we would do that would be to gently steer into the skid, and then as the car starts to straighten up, we would then straighten the steering wheel back up.
Right,
So,
okay.
for example, if the back end of the car started to go round to the left, we would gently turn the steering wheel to the left until you feel the car coming under control, and then you would straighten up the wheel.
Right.
We'll go into a little bit more detail on skidding in some later lessons.
Okay.
For now, we'll concentrate on the emergency stop. Okay?
Right,
So just to recap what we talked about, when I give you the signal to stop, it's BBC, brake, brace and clutch. Once the car has stopped, secure it with the handbrake, and then when you're ready, prepare the car and carry out your safety checks before we move off.
Right.
All right?
Yep.
Do you have any questions about that so far?
No.
Okay. Well, before we actually go and do it for real, what I'd like to do is just have a little bit of a dry run parked here if we can.
Right.
All right?
okay.
So, I'm just going to put my book away. If you'd just like to make sure the car's in neutral and start your engine for me for a second. Great stuff. Now in a moment I'm going to give you that signal that I mentioned earlier on. So I'm going to
Right.
say stop.
Okay.
Okay? And when I do that, I would like you to take your foot away from the gas pedal.
Yeah.
I'd like you to brake firmly but progressively, and then I'd like you to press the clutch pedal firmly to the floor.
Okay.
Okay? So just for a moment, if you'd like to put your right foot over the gas pedal, so just imagine that we're normally driving down the road. Okay? And in a moment I'm going to give you the signal. So it's brake and then your clutch.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Stop. Well done. Perhaps a little bit more on the brake.
Okay.
Okay, just do that one more time for me. Are you ready?
Yep.
And stop. Well done, excellent. And that's exactly what I want you to do when we're driving down the road.
Right. Okay.
Okay? Do you have any questions?
No.
All right, let's go and have a go, shall we?
Yep.
Great stuff. So I'm shortly going to be asking you to carry out an emergency stop. So just remember the
Okay.
things we practiced when we was parked up.
Right.
Stop! Okay, handbrake on, into neutral, and take your feet off the pedals and relax. Well done. Okay, we're now going to prepare the car and move off and pull up on the left for me where it's
Okay.
safe. Where are you going to check before you move off?
All around the car.
Good stuff. Is it safe to go?
It is.
Okay. Really good. Nice emergency stop. Really prompt braking. Full control of the car. Very, very good for first attempt. Well done. Really good lesson. And we'll probably practice some more of those next week. All right?
Thank you, Steve. That's the end of your phase 1. If you'd like to be thinking about the phase 2 while I do some marking.
Okay.